how I got started. I wanted to go to art school when I was 18. I was living in New England. I looked at Parsons School of Design. I looked at Pratt, and I chickened out. I just got to the point where I was terrified that I had no real creativity, and I didn't go to school. I did a year of community college, and when the art teacher there told me I needed to start doing some artwork, I dropped out. So I think I was afraid of it. The artists I knew were a little bit wild, and it was a time that I wanted control and safety. And so here I am 42 years later, and I'm actually dabbling in art in a real way, like in this kind of art. I never thought I would paint. I would have told you or anybody else that I met that painting is just not something I can do. I can't even draw a straight line, I would say. Though I was a photographer, I've built many homes and done design and worked with architects, and I loved all that, but I wanted to create a different kind of art. And then one day, I walked by Florence Thomas Art School. I saw the posters in the window for all the classes, and I turned to a friend of mine who's a painter and said, I think I'm going to take an art class. And I picked the one of the art that I liked the most, and I've been painting ever since. So I do know music. Some of my friends tease me. I listen to the birds. I open the windows, I open the door, and I love the sound of just what's going on outside. I have a deer who comes to visit, and I'll go get her corn. When she's here, I've got bird feeders all around. That's the most pleasurable thing. I do sometimes listen to This American Life by the hour. And I've even been known to watch television on my iPad while I'm in here painting. I find that when I'm painting, and this is such a rare experience for me, is that time just disappears, and I can suddenly discover at 6 o'clock in the evening, and I've missed lunch. I'll just keep painting. That's the only time in my life that I miss a meal, is when I'm lost in this space. And I'm so in the moment that until the phone rings or my husband comes down, there is no time, and I love that experience. I think it's a rare one for any of us to have. Because time is a factor. It takes time to do a painting. It takes time to even just get set up to start the painting. I didn't have that kind of time or make that kind of time when I had kids, when I had more property to take care of. We've downsized both our home and our yard work. That was a hard choice, and it was totally the right choice, because now I realized one day I didn't want to spend my 4 hours a week of my life mowing lawns. I just looked at my husband one day and said, this is not how I want to live. I wasn't getting to the things I wanted to do because I had all these chores to do. So being actually able to, I'm working a little bit less as I've gotten older, to be able to spend this 4 hours in an afternoon painting is a treat, and it's a real gift. I didn't find I had to worry about making a straight line or having everything be perfect. It gave me a lot more looseness. In fact, I've gotten to know Paul quite well since then, and he said that, knowing me now, that the challenge will always be between control and looseness in my work. That's because that's my struggle also, and it's going to show up. So when I do the feathers, there's looseness. When I do, the eye in particular, it's real tight. And for me, he said that balance is who he thinks I am as an artist, is finding that balance all the time. So it was my husband who really wanted us to live up here, and at that time in my life I had left my job and I had done some traveling in Europe, and moving to Europe was not an option. He had a 5-year-old that we had custody of, so he said, let's live in the mountains, and I came up and I said, if I can't live in the south of France, this is the next best place, clearly. And I have fallen in love with this terrain, and after 20 years of being a real estate agent up here, knowing the ins and outs of this county and the 2 surrounding counties and Virginia, it's absolutely gorgeous landscape. And to be able to convey what I see when I'm driving around into a painting is pretty exciting. But what I find is that something that doesn't necessarily photograph well can paint beautifully. And so the other day I stopped and was taking photographs of the river, and there were power lines right in front of my face that went across the river. And it didn't matter because I can paint them out. Adrian Doss, when her in class, says we have artistic license that in a way a photographer doesn't have. I love animals. I love painting birds for some reason. I love birds. I became a bird watcher a few years ago, but I didn't expect this to show up in painting, and it's been the most popular stuff I've done is the birds. And there's such variety from color to trees and all that I'm learning to paint in the process of just painting a goldfinch, for example, or in this case a chicken or a nuthatch. I did 2 paintings at a show a year ago, the Best of the Blue Ridge, at the Arts Council. And I think that was the first time. And one of them was, both of them were like watery scenes. This one was with a little boat in the marshes, looked like the eastern North Carolina somewhere. And it was only a small painting, 8 inches square, maybe 10 inches square. And they didn't hang it, they had it setting on a pedestal and my other one hanging above it. And I was just pretty ecstatic to see it there. I felt like they could carry their own weight in that room of really talented artists, which was really surprising. And then one of them sold, which was really exciting. I'm starting to pay for my paint supplies. I was at Wild Acres at the fall gathering, and there was a woman doing nature printing using leaves, and I asked her if I could pay her to teach me, and she taught me how to do it. And I did just one scarf that day, and I was hooked.